Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
You're listening to My Neighbor Zuckerberg.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to another episode of My Neighbor Zuckerberg. At MNZ, we try and invite incredibly exciting individuals. But to begin with, I'm your host, Munaf Kapadia, and
I'm Nabil Merchant.
And today we have, and we are very, very, very excited to say this, we have the super sweet Pooja Dhingra.
The founder of... Go for it.
Le 15 Patisserie.
Awesome.
You were scared of saying it because you weren't sure how to pronounce
No,
patisserie.
I know. Le 15. I was scared of
You were scared of Le 15,
Yeah,
Le
Le
15,
15,
El
or La
15,
15,
Le
Le 15.
15, yes.
I was like...
We've
I was
heard
going to
it
say
all.
the Hindi version. I was like, let me just screw it up and let him just correct me, but...
So Pooja Dhingra, founder of Le 15 Patisserie.
Patisserie.
Patisserie. Okay.
Patisserie. Okay,
I'm
so...
learning a lot of French by the time we're done with this.
Hi guys.
Hello
I'm
Pooja.
very scared looking at both of you.
The moustache and does that.
Yeah.
So, Pooja, to begin with,
Yes.
what is Le 15 Patisserie?
What is it? It is it's a French style patisserie pastry shop in Mumbai.
All right.
And we are 7 years old now.
Wow.
And we have 4 stores.
With the...
With the 5th one coming very soon.
Woo!
Yes.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's something that I started 7 years ago. I've, I moved back from Paris. When I was in Paris, I was in love with the macaroon and I didn't find them back home. So I said, when I move back, this is what I want to do.
Okay, so the rumor that you originally wanted to start off with a vada pav store, that's not true?
I actually wanted to do a chai stall like Jumbo Vada Pav. I wanted to do that for chai and now everyone's doing it. And I thought about it like 10 years ago. And
So guys, Dheeraj Gupta is the founder of Jumbo King
yeah.
Vada Pav, right? So I think around 12 to 15 years back is when his story started, right? He tried attempting to build, an entire cake dessert concept. I'm not kidding.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes, he had invested a lot of money thinking that this trend or this industry would come to India faster than he would have imagined. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. So then he just initially put in approximately 2 more lakhs of his money and started a
Vada
vada pav,
QSR, wow.
good-looking, hygienic vada pav stall, and that freaking took off, right? And
Amazing.
and he's doing a great job.
And now it's
Anyways,
Jumbo. Very interesting. All right. So on one side we have a Jumbo King, on another side we have Le 15 Patisserie. So, like you were saying, Pooja, so Le 15, you have now 5 stores across Bombay. You describe it as a French-styled confectionery
Yes.
retail shop. Which sells something called a macaroon.
Yes.
So what
At
is
least
a
that's
macaroon?
what you started with, I'm guessing.
Yes. It's sort of like a French cookie which is made of icing sugar, almond powder and egg whites, and then we have it sandwiched with different kind of fillings, which, something that I have a lot of fun working on every month. So we have our basic 12 flavors and then every month we keep adding to them.
Wow.
Wow.
And so Nabil, the reason I've been asking you such stupid rhetorical questions is what you've created, what you've started is obviously so niche and beautiful and premium, yet when it comes to its equity, its visibility, its popularity, it's as mainstream as it gets. Every single person knows what is Le 15. Patisserie. Like they would pronounce it in different ways.
Are mane Le 15 patisserie ma jawanu che mane. No, I'm not kidding. I've heard people actually say that. Are Le 15 par mane cupcake mane juice. I'm not doing guys. But I think
class hai.
No, I class hai, yeah, exactly. No, but I think what you've done is amazing, right?
Thank you.
And this is a question that I'll reiterate, which I had in my mind that. So you started this in 2010, right?
Yes.
We're talking about an industry which pretty much does not exist, a product which does not exist, a category which never existed, right? So how did you do some maths, understanding what the market size would be, or any of those because that's what every entrepreneur does, and we.
I think
what was your thought process, behind that?
There really wasn't, and I think that's what kind of worked for me. I was young, I was naive, I just thought I could do everything, and I think that's what, I didn't overthink anything. It was just simple. I was in Paris, I loved eating something, I saw that it wasn't available at home, so why isn't available at home? And then checked that, it is possible to make it. You can get the ingredients. So why isn't anyone doing it?
Right.
Why does it feel like every shop I go to or every restaurant I go to has the same pastry chef? You get the same 5 desserts everywhere. Why? And that was a thought. And then it just, moved back to India. And in the beginning, it was a bit tough because most people didn't know what a macaroon was, and like trying to get them to understand what it is. I did a lot of I was in every mall giving free samples. I was in every event. I've done every possible show and event. I've given away macaroons for free for fashion shows, for whatever. The whole idea was that more people need to know what this is.
So, tell us about one of these. So honestly, I think very few people know about the effort that's actually gone into the behemoth of a brand. Not only Law 15, but Pooja Dhingra as a brand. Yeah. The effort that's gone into it. So give us, if you don't mind, get into details of one of these instances.
I mean, see, that's what I said. When I started, I was 23. I had no idea. I'd done a business degree and I'd done a diploma in baking, but I came back and my family only supported me to get me a kitchen. And after that, I've been on my own. So I knew that people wanted, when I came back from France, everyone was like, oh, can you teach us what you've learned there? And I saw that there was a great market for teaching. Education in India is big.
Yes.
And everyone wanted to learn what I was, doing. So in fact, the first week in my kitchen, the only way I made my rent was that I started giving lessons. We just put it up, I think, brown paper bag back then, and it was just teaching how to do this for one whole week, and it was just full. We had 10 classes back to back every day, and it was just, so the classes and the teaching came before the actual product hit the market, because I only had my kitchen.
That is so interesting.
No.
So this started off actually
as a teaching.
You being a teacher,
so my
kitchen,
classes.
classes.
So my kitchen has 2 floors. So the bottom is where we were just 3 employees, so 3 of us would work all day, work on recipes or whatever, and then 2 hours or 3 hours in the day upstairs I would teach, and that's how we made rent for the first few months. It was just about teaching people different things, getting people to know us. And I think at that point, I've never hired a marketing company, never hired a PR company. It's all been organic. I remember I was at this mall for Valentine's Day once and just had them, like a Law 15 stall with a standee. Let's have pictures from it. And, we were just giving people free samples and doing questionnaires like, taste this, have you ever tasted it? What do you think of it? What would you pay for this?
Yeah.
And I think a journalist from Hindustan Times passed by, tasted it, loved it, said, whoa, what are you doing? And then wrote an article about it, and then somebody else read that, and it was just like a snowball effect.
So do you remember who was the person who wrote your first article?
Yeah, Bhairavi is I don't know if you know her. She works for Twitter now, but I've been close to her since. And I mean, it's all been just organic, and I was just working so hard that I had no time to think about anything else.
Wow.
It hasn't been sitting down, and I'm doing that now. Not when I started. It was just, I was working 16 hours a day. I was too exhausted to do anything else.
The kitchen you started with, is that the same kitchen?
Yeah, I'm still working out of there. I still have, in Lower Parel, yes. I have now a space right next to it, which became Studio 15, where we teach. So I still love teaching. I still teach there. And then we have another shop down the road. So we're still in the same lane, but we have different kitchens now.
That's
Pooja,
amazing.
your posture reeks of humility.
Yeah,
right? I'm serious. What you are
what you just said right now, I'm really feeling. Yeah, I did. I was like, wow, I can't believe this is Pooja Dhingra. She started Law 15 Patisri. Yeah,
so
actually by teaching, to be able to pay off your rentals, and that is unbelievable, right? Because that's what entrepreneurs do, Manaf, right? I mean, you have to do whatever it takes to be able to be successful.
I tried teaching people how to grow mustache, but for some reason there's no market for that. Okay, guys, please check out makeyourownmustache.co.in because that's the cheapest domain. So Pooja, we're not trying to flatter you. We're just saying that. Actually, you know what? Let me ask you this: do you wake up once in a while, maybe in 6 months, and you're like, hey, 8 years back, I felt like this, where, oh God, this is so difficult to do. I'm trying to sell a product that no one really knows anything about. And look at where I am today.
Man, I wish. No, I still wake up like, shit, what am I doing with my life?
See, this is the bloody problem with this generation here. Not happy only. Just get married, settle down, What is all this entrepreneurship nonsense? Ambition. Why do you need that?
I think that's what keeps one going, right? The minute you can never be at one spot and be satisfied with what you've done. And I think for me, what I enjoy or what I get my excitement from is creation of new things. So, I love, when my book comes out, all of that, but that to me is not joy. To me, joy is working on the process of making the book or working on recipes for a new product. So, I'm always doing new things because that's where I get my happiness from. And once it comes out and when it's ready and all of that is not something that I enjoy. I just like creation.
So I have a question.
Tell me.
Who was your first customer?
My first customer was actually my brother's friend from school, and I was still baking cakes from home.
Okay.
And I still remember making a small little raspberry and chocolate cake for him and sending to him, and then I called him back and asked him for feedback, and he said it was a bit too sweet. But he was really sweet about it. So that was the first cake I ever made, and he's still our customer. So yeah.
Okay. And I mean, that feedback was, I'm guessing, very instrumental in the rest of the
No, I
recipes.
mean, the thing with taste is with food, it's so subjective, right?
Right.
We have some of our macaroon flavors that you taste it, people will be like, this is too, for example, the rose. For most people, it'll be too sweet, but for the Indian palate, our desserts are full of sugar, like a gulab jamun, and they are extremely sweet. So I just realized to have a palette of flavors that there's something for everybody. So if you do like something acidic, we have a passion fruit. If you like something salty, we have the sea salt. It's just a mixture thing. Yeah, you just have to understand that taste is very subjective. Something that you love, I will probably hate. So as a chef, it's very difficult to you can't keep thinking about everyone. I try to trust my palate, and there are a few people that I truly trust, and I just go by that. And then
you stand by it. Yeah,
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
So you spoke about gulab jamun, right? India has predominantly been a mithai population, right? I mean, while I'm guessing that the penetration is mainly between the age groups of as young as maybe 5 to 30. I mean, what about the older generation? For example, have you tried making your grandmother or maybe the older population try what you created? What did they have to say? That would be interesting.
No, I mean, for all of our, my grandmom, she's obsessed with the strawberry fruit cake that we make. So every time she visits me from Delhi, she'll tell me that, I want this, and it'll always be at home when she's visiting us. But I think cake is something that everyone, maybe not the macaroon, but cake is something that you've grown up with for your birthdays. I think it's just that movement away from the typical Black Forest and the pineapple cake, which everyone is so used to.
Right.
And making them taste something else, whether it's my friends' parents or grandparents, they still want a pineapple cake, but then I change the way I make it, and it won't be the same, but it'll still be delicious. And that's interesting to see, and even for them to try new things and bringing in new flavors slowly, and them accepting it and wanting more is a big change.
So now getting into the business model a bit. Okay, tell us what you can. If Low 15 makes 100 rupees a month, how is that broken up? How much of that is the retail outlets selling things? How much of that is catering? How much of that is delivery? Is a particular product responsible for 80% of the sales? How does that work?
I mean, so just to give you a little bit of an idea, I pay rent on 8 properties. My staff strength now is 75.
Wow.
And all of my revenue that I get, most of it, like rent and labor, is the biggest cost to us. Everything else, I mean, what I tried to do in the beginning was try to keep expenses as low as possible. But as we grow, this is getting more difficult, and I'm trying to find more models in which we can. So, for example, the delivery models of Swiggy and Scootsie work great for us because, they do our work for us without us having to worry about anything. Our highest selling product is our dark chocolate and sea salt macaroons. And how many of those we sell a month or how that gets broken down is But yeah,
many.
I try to follow the formula of keeping the food cost below 20%. I try to keep it below 20%. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, because every month as you're in food, cost of ingredients just keeps going higher and higher. And I think for desserts, cream is becoming more expensive and sugar is becoming more expensive, and we use Callebaut, which is a Belgian chocolate, so every month that's going up 5%. And every time I get it, my suppliers tell me we're going to increase costs, and you can't keep doing that for your customers, right? And so we take a hit on it sometimes. And that's really challenging as, you're trying to run a business and you have all these expenses which people don't see. And finding that balance between what is really profitable and I think it's a bit
sustainable.
Sustainable as well. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So Pooja, ever since Live 15 Patisserie has started, we've seen a bunch of other companies or startups in the same space that have also mushroomed and suddenly taken a lot of prominence in the city, right? How do you, is there room for all of them to survive, to thrive? And how do you see this market actually grow now?
I actually believe that the more people that are trying to promote a single sort of idea is better for business in general.
Right.
So only me going on talking about the macaroon.
That's a politically perfect answer.
No, it's true. Like me just trying to harp about a macaroon and tell people what it is. Then 10 people trying to do the same thing. It's great, right? Because that just increases awareness. And also I think competition is great because it keeps you on your toes, right? Like you don't become complacent. Like I have to think of something new every single month.
Right.
And that's what excites me, whether it's doing a collaboration with a fashion designer or getting an illustrator to make a box for us or doing some crazy photo campaign or something, or introducing new flavors that, the customers keep coming back for.
Right.
So I think there's enough room for everyone to thrive.
Okay.
Look at our population, right? How many birthdays are there? You reach out for sweets for everything.
Correct.
And also I feel look at it personally. Like some days I want to go and just have a cookie. And some days I want to go have a macaroon. Some days I want to have something else. There's something for each day. So I don't think there's a problem with competition or too many people in the industry.
You've never felt that, hey, that guy also launched a macaroon brand?
Yeah.
No, Never. Well, I'll tell you something. I had someone who stood outside my kitchen, poached 3 of my guys, started a shop right next to my shop in Bandra. I don't want to name names, but if you Google it, you'll find it. And actually, and this...
You Google it, the domain is jackass outside Pooja Dhingra's shop.com.
No, things like this in the industry happen. You're in the industry, I know friends and in India people do it with pride, right? You will get a chef from someone and say, "Arey, ye to Royal China ka chef." You'll do it with pride, and how much ever you nurture your team, and sometimes the monetary, you just can't keep up with the price. Like if I'm paying someone 15,000 and they say we'll pay you 45,
you just
can't.
Cannot.
So there are setbacks that happen almost every single month, and this is something you learn to deal with. You can't do anything about it. So as long as someone is being individual and doing their own thing, and that's great, but you also have to deal with people trying to steal everything that you do. It's not an easy space to be in, and what are you going to do about it, right? And that's the thing, when I used to get really, this was 5 years ago, and I used to get really hyper about it and be like, oh my god, what am I going to do? And they've opened right next to me, and my parents were always, I think my mother is one that keeps us all sane, and she used to always say they can only copy what you've done so far, right? No one can get into your mind and your brain and do what you're going to do next.
No, that's perfect.
And that's exactly what, so that's it.
So here's an interesting thought that came to my mind, right? Innovation, right? So how often do you innovate with your products? Every once in a month, or how does it work?
It's all I have something planned for every month, whether it's a new macaroon flavor, whether it's a new cupcake, something.
Okay.
There's something that's happening every month.
Okay.
And so right now we have a de-stress box. We know exams are going on.
A de-stress box.
A de-stress with dessert box.
So what does the de-stress box contain?
It's a little box with 4, really dense, rich chocolate things that you can actually put in the microwave and melt, which is what I do. It's amazing.
Inducing.
And we're doing this for students because we know it's exam time, and when it's exam time, what you reach for and whatever, and it's doing really well. It's it's something that people are Scootsy orders are going crazy with it, and that's something that's so simple as okay, what do I like to do when it's exam season? And we have something that's coming up for mango season, and then there's monsoon, and then there's something
happening all the time.
Yeah, all
and you
the
keep
time.
Changing things as well.
All right. So guys, on that note, actually, honestly, we don't need to take a break, but there's a box of macaroons lying outside which I've been dying to bite into. So let's take a quick break.
I actually stole one, before we came into the podcast.
Appeal! Alright, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that some termites in Africa have a pleasantly minty flavor?
Did you know that India's largest music festival was in a way conceptualized in Estonia?
Did you know that the awesomest chips in the world are found only inside US prisons?
Hello, I'm Chuck.
I'm Sriket.
And I'm Naren.
And together we are
Simplified,
a podcast that helps you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Or give you some stuff to talk about at parties.
We are ultra-crepidarians.
And if you don't know what that means,
Then tune into Simplified with a B on iTunes, Audioboom, or your favorite podcasting app. Episodes out every fortnight.
Okay, guys, we're back from the break. I'm clearly on a sugar high right now. No, I'm not, because Nabil had all the macaroons. Pooja Dhingra, the brand. Okay.
You just said my name, like I don't know.
I didn't just say your name. I said your name. I added some effect.
He actually paused. Like,
Yeah, I
Pooja
paused.
Dhingra, the brand.
Plus
You know,
we'll
that's
be-
the
we'll
most
be
you could
editing
actually
this.
through his voice.
We'll
You
be
know.
editing this and adding the Braveheart soundtrack also. So my question is, why is my mother in love with Pooja Dhingra today?
Man, I don't know. Ask her. Why does she love me? I don't know.
Why?
Because I'm a nice person.
She's never met you.
She
Okay.
has met me.
Okay, my mom has met you. But what I mean is, there are mothers out there who haven't met you, who are constantly talking about you, who are following you on Instagram, who are
Absolutely.
motivated by
in
you.
fact, we just
And not
had
just mothers.
We just had another Pooja, right? Pooja Sharma, who spoke about a campaign where you were involved. L'Oreal came up with
golden lipstick.
a golden
Yeah.
lipstick, and she said that we had Pooja, create a gold cupcake,
Yeah.
right? And the whole hashtag gold is bold, right? And I was like, my God, like I was like freaking like a
How
awesome
does
gold
someone-
cupcake? Yeah.
Create a brand like you've created for yourself. Please tell us the top 5 tips.
Yeah, especially
Man,
for Mona.
like I said, I have no idea. I've just really done what I love doing and worked really
Tip
hard.
number 1.
Just love what you love.
Love what you do. Love what you do. Be passionate. Be a nice person. Be kind. I don't know. Give people sugar.
Ah.
No, but I mean, on a serious note, right? I mean, anyone thinks of Love 15 Patasri, right? They immediately know the founder. They know the person
Yeah,
behind it.
like 500 people will know who's Pooja.
Yeah.
And these people might not even have desserts.
Yeah, it's very synonymous, right? Love 15
Yeah.
Patasri and Pooja Dhingra, right? And that's not what we get to hear often from a lot of brands, not only in the food space but in multiple other categories as well. So obviously, what you've done is
I
done
think
something
the whole
very
fact
interesting.
about me actually teaching, and I've been very hands-on with everything. So whether it's my workshops, I really believe in giving back and changing everything, right? So whether it's writing a book, teaching, going to different cities, teaching people how to bake. And I think that it's not only about being in the kitchen and making pastry, right? It's about being out there, meeting people, seeing what they do, teaching them how to bake. And I think that's where my personal sort of, where
Brand's
I
been
come
built.
into the picture, yeah. So I think it's just about being involved in all aspects of it. It's not only cooking. but
So it's
everything
happened very
else.
naturally, very
Yeah,
organically.
it's very
Like,
organic.
you've
There's
always been in
never-
the forefront of what you do and what you love.
Yeah.
And that's naturally occurred into a very interesting profile that she's built.
But has any particular tool or channel played a role? Like, for example, has Instagram been pivotal in building your brand?
I mean, I used to have a blog.
Yeah.
So I used to have a blog where I used to write everything. It was almost like I was talking to a friend. And that's what I used to do for the first 2 or 3 years of Love 15. That's what I did. Like everything that I had, like whether it was, finding a new kitchen space or having a really rough day at work or what actually goes behind the scenes. And I think a lot of people that have been following that journey just connected with.
Become
it was
your
just-
friends.
Yeah,
They
it was
become
just
your
like
evangelists,
real.
yeah.
Like I've always been. There's no sugar coating, for this. It's a tough. Yeah,
I
okay,
just
yeah.
got that.
Statement to say.
Yeah.
there's
No, I mean
sugarcoating, but-
it's. I just try to be as honest,
Honest
as
as you can,
as
yeah.
I can, right?
No,
Like
but I do believe that works, right? I mean,
yeah,
just
and
be
people can see
humble
through that, right?
and
Like
then
if
honest
you're honest about what you do, and it's not just like this make believe unicorn world or whatever.
No, but I think that's exceptional, right?
And it's rare. It's very rare.
It's very rare, yeah.
Which is why it's appreciated so much by consumers and fans out there. But that makes a lot of sense. So you build something on honesty and sincerity, people appreciated it, and now it's reflecting in terms of business and scale.
Yeah, I hope
But
so.
do you find it challenging to retain that same level of organic growth that you started off with?
No, actually not. In fact, it's just, I do exactly the same things. I don't feel like I've changed at all since I started. I'm doing exactly the same things. It's just now there's a lot more work, there's a lot more pressure. For me, it's more pressure, not about but about meeting numbers, there are so many people that are dependent on me for their livelihood. So that kind of pressure, and I just have to keep working harder and harder to meet those goals. And it's just about that. So I'm not even looking at what's happening around me. It's always it's a very I don't know. Yeah, I just want to build the business up more than anything else. So that's my only focus.
But what's the vision? Does it ever do you have a end goal, or is this
No, I mean, yeah, I do. I obviously
one day
do.
the Prime Minister will be a macaroon.
Let me just reiterate that. So I mean, how do you see yourself now? I mean, so personally, what is it that you want to do? So in the next year or a couple of years from now.
So this is how I work, right? So every year I set out goals for myself and for the company.
Okay.
So there can be ridiculous goals like dance on stage, which I did
not
3
bad.
years in a row because I it was just something on my bucket list. One of them was to run half a marathon, which I did 2 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I'm a kind of person that works well with goals, both short term and long term. So I do the same for me. I do the same for the company. And then try to achieve those. So whether it was opening a cafe in Colaba, which was always on the list, which I did last year. And this year
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
True Townie spoke.
yeah, so it's just like that. So I take it year, I look at it each year at a time and then set goals for that. So at the end of this year, hopefully I would have traveled a lot and opened a couple of more stores and working on my third book.
Wow.
Alright, so Pooja,
Yes.
you're an author, right?
Yes.
You have 2 best-selling books.
Author, a teacher, entrepreneur.
A pastry chef, guys, you forgot.
Yeah. And
Oh, you're a pastry chef? Are you
yeah.
serious?
Oh, of course.
Okay, alright, but you know what? I want to talk about author bit
Yes.
a little bit more before we wrap up the show. I believe your entire journey started with a blog, like you just said.
Yeah.
There are a few other entrepreneurs I know who write because they find it self-therapeutic. Is it something like that for you as well?
Absolutely. I love writing. I've always loved writing. I've always wanted to have to that was a dream, was to always write books. And they always come from a very personal space of, the first one, The Big Book of Treats, was growing up. I had a lot of difficulty working in the Indian kitchen with ingredients that were available here. I remember tweaking recipes of being 14, 15 and kind of trying to figure things out. And I just wanted to make a book that people could buy, go to your local grocery shop, buy ingredients and bake, So that came from that sort of space. And then the second book, The Wholesome Kitchen, came from a space of, I started training for the marathon and I saw what a disaster I was. And I was like, okay, this is I want to really get fit, I want to be active, but I still love sugar, I still love dessert. What do I do? So I kind of started making treats for myself and
Wow.
I thought, okay, this is not bad. Healthy food doesn't have to taste disgusting.
Right.
And started giving it out to friends. They were like, wow, this is amazing. I thought, okay, if I am, going through this, I'm sure a lot of other people are going through it and looking for healthy options. And the Wholesome Kitchen was born out of that. So it's just going through personal journeys and then documenting them, and hopefully people connect with it.
So, I have this theory, Nabil, that a lot of the entrepreneurs who come on our show, especially in the conversations we have outside the recording room, which we're bringing inside the recording room, it's like one thing that always emerges, I feel, is people find it very difficult to, an entrepreneur finds it very difficult to talk to others about what he's going through. And maybe writing is a very good outlet for that because he's kind of talking to himself or herself and just bringing it out there.
Right.
And in your case, that conversation you're having with yourself, however scary and serial killerish it sounds, is so sincere, honest, and actually entertaining and exciting and inspiring for people like my mom and myself, that they actually fall in love with you because of that.
So I think it's amazing. I had a quick question.
Yes.
Right. The Wholesome Kitchen.
Yes.
Right. So I think one way that you're figuring out is how do you make desserts really accessible would be a right word.
Maybe wholesome is a good word.
For people who are very health conscious, right, about So any thoughts on like maybe addressing how do you address a diabetic patient? Like for example, how do you ensure that the sugar content is so little?
Yeah,
that-
so I mean, for like my dad has diabetes and can never eat anything that I make. So for him,
that's
like,
interesting
this
twist
is a
to the
bloody
story,
Hindi
yeah.
movie with a
Yeah,
twist.
it's like
Bro, like, right?
oh my god.
and my favorite uncle doesn't eat sugar. So for both of these men that I love,
Right.
I always have to, whether it's their birthdays or it's just a dinner at home, I've always had to make things to fit that in. So we do that at Low 15. We do make desserts that are, and I live with a nutritionist at home. My sister-in-law's worked on the book with me to make sure that I can think anything is healthy and put it in, but she has to like certify that it actually is. So she's kind of, vetted all of those recipes and done the math for it. And yeah, we work together and we create products.
So, Pooja, to wrap up today's, what I think was a fantastic interview, or more like a conversation, I'd like to ask you something very simple. You started this when you were 23, right? You came back from France. You decided that, hey, I want to sell macaroons in India or in Bombay.
Yeah.
And you probably had a vision. Has anything changed over those 8 years?
In fact, no. I feel like I haven't been working as fast as I would have liked to. The vision hasn't changed at all. In fact, when I started out,
Like the macaroons weren't square to begin with.
so I mean, no. In terms of, I really wanted to change the pastry industry in India when I started. I think we've managed to achieve some of that. I also, through the teaching, through education, wanted to get people, very interestingly, when I first started writing, I realized that a lot of people don't have ovens at home. Baking is not a traditionally Indian sort of thing, and I wanted to change that. Which kind of
Haven't you introduced your own line called Whisk? Whisk India.
Yeah, so I worked with the Future Group, and we co-own India's first baking brand called Whisk.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
that's really amazing.
So Whisk
Okay.
is
Whisk.
I've been working on it for the last 2 years. It just hit the stores last month, and we've started with just baking equipment where people can it's like I've tested everything several times over, curated a list of equipment that people need to start baking at home, and our next product is going to be our own line of chocolate, our own line of essences, our own premixes, everything. So
The true entrepreneur speaking, right?
Right. I mean, she's covering everything from products to services to retail.
yeah,
It's
I mean,
amazing.
you have
It's
to,
exciting.
right?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
looking
really
forward
Gotta
to
start
the
making some
political
money,
party.
man.
With this, Pooja, we would like to say thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And in the future, please get more macaroons and hide them from Nabil.
Just ensure that a box is sent to our places every month because we are huge fans of Lay 15. Go for it.
Patisserie.
You still got it wrong. It's patisserie.
Thank you so much, Pooja.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and for everyone listening to us, please do order. I mean, obviously you guys have
So
already
Nabil, I
tried.
was just thinking, I don't think that's required for this.
I mean, not required, but just like order loads and loads of desserts from Le 15 Patisserie. And
Yay,
yeah,
you got it right.
take the selfies next to her shop and keep promoting them.
This is Munaf Kapadia,
And this is Nabil Merchant.
and we'll see you guys next Monday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an episode of My Neighbor Zuckerberg, brought to you by Indus Vox Media and media partners Inc. 42.
My Neighbor Zuckerberg is a Indus Vox media production. If you like this podcast, please also listen to Cyrus Says, an irreverent podcast hosted by funny man Cyrus Brocha, who takes a dig at urban India and interviews interesting guests every week. Episodes out every Monday.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcast, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcast galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.